Hello, and welcome to the first session of Plastic Oceans Australasia's Guardian of the Oceans webinar series. We're really excited to be sharing with you all of this that we're planning for you. It's really exciting. My name is Patricia Lee. I am the Marketing and Communications Manager of POA. This is the first in a series of discussions with experts in different sustainability and ocean health experts initiated by Plastic Oceans Australasia. Today, we will enjoy a guided conversation facilitated by POA's Executive Director, Ricky Hersberg. She's already there. You can see her little icon there with her photo. Before I pass on to Ricky, as usual, I'm going to cover some housekeeping topics for the webinar, for the rest of the webinar. Today's webinar is going to be recorded, so that's good news. We will be able to share a link with you after the event is complete. We welcome you to revisit the content yourself and share it with your colleagues. That would be fantastic, so we can, spread some awareness and share the information. We also invite you to your comments. We welcome your comments and questions. You can look at the Q&A chat box on your screen, like the chat little thing that you have. You can do that, and I will be replying to your questions. And then I will pass them on to the speakers. If you have any questions, just don't feel shy and just do it. Happy to reply. POA is on the mission to change the attitude to plastic within a generation. The time to drive change is now. I will pass now to Ricky, who is facilitating today's session, and we're going to welcome David and Peter as well. I'm going to turn on my camera and welcome everyone. Thanks.
Hi everyone, and thank you, Patty, and welcome to this first session, and a particularly warm welcome to our wonderful presenters. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land which we meet on today and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I, of course, extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people that are here today. So as mentioned, already by Patty, this is our first session of a new series called Guardians of the Ocean. Some of you may have been with us over the COVID period where we had our No Time to Waste series. So this is a new series which we're kicking off now in December, and that'll go through for several sessions, which I'll be talking about why we're doing this. So we've created this to showcase Plastic Oceans Australasia UNESCO Ocean Decade activity called Oceans in Motion, which is a film competition that we started 3 years ago. Today, we'll not only be announcing the winners for the 2022 year, but we'll also provide you with insights on ocean health, obviously ocean pollutants. We'll be spotlighting innovative organisations that are demonstrating how we make positive change happen. And soon you'll hear from a couple of amazing speakers that are really driving the change. So David Coleman will be up first, and then Peter Gash. They will be talking and sharing with you their stories. We are, through this series, going to be exploring the ocean literacy framework and discussing the relevance of the 7 principles over the next several sessions. Today's session is actually going to be focusing on ocean literacy principle number 6, which is the ocean and humans are interconnected. Obviously, understanding of the ocean's influence on you and your influence on the ocean is fundamental to our core work at POA, with ocean education a priority. We will be expanding on our activities and projects to further emphasise this moving forward in the future. So without further ado, because we've got a big lineup and a lot of information and a lot of fun things to share with you, it's my great pleasure now to introduce our first speaker, David Coleman, who is the chairman of Sapartis. Before I hand over to David, I'm just going to give you a little quick snapshot about him and how he's got to where he is today. So David originally grew up on a sheep farm near Orange in New South Wales, and it's actually now where he resides today, having been around the world and back again. It's funny how we always sort of end up coming back to where we started a lot of the time. David forged a strong bond with the land. He went into military college, Duntroon, in 1995. He graduated into the Royal Australian Corps of Transport. Once he completed his army duties, he then actually took up a consulting position for the 2000 Sydney Olympics. He worked abroad with British Petroleum, moved to Asia, where he spent the last 20 years in supply chain design and management experience. He has used this experience to focus on waste in supply chain, the buildup of toxicity in our environment caused by waste, and the actual economic impact and fallout that this is causing. David focuses all his attention on the detoxification of our environment to obviously improve sustainable food production and the delivery of healthy, clean water to all, and is now the chairman of Sapatis. He is also the founding partner of our Oceans in Motion film competition, and he is delivering on his word and his promise to create a long-term, economical, sustainable program to remove plastic from our oceans and rivers. I know, David, you're going to talk a bit more about that, and I'm now going to hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Ricky. Appreciate the introduction and appreciate the opportunity to speak here today. As you've led in quite nicely, Sapatis's whole goal is the detoxification of our environment, and wastewater is one of the key areas that we focus on. There's over 359 billion cubic litres of wastewater created every year, of which we only treat about half of it. And even in the half that we do treat, we don't treat any of the environmental nasties like forever chemicals, PFAS, heavy metals, pharmaceuticals, and a range of other pesticides and so forth that have now crept into our environment. But through all the tech platforms that Sapatis has created in treating the PFASs, the heavy metals, microplastics and plastics still remain one of our main focuses. It was through that focus that we created the Catch-22 platform. And the reason behind that was what we identified was two major problems in ocean pollution and plastic pollution, and two, energy vulnerability. Unfortunately, the energy vulnerability doesn't get enough attention in this, and most Australians, I think, within the last 6 months probably didn't even know what it was until recently. But now that we're hoping the world is understanding what it's like to live without power or very high power costs, there might be some more empathy from the people, the businesses and the governments into supporting the 87 countries that are directly affected by ocean plastics and energy vulnerability. The Catch-22 platform takes these two problems and creates a solution. From that solution, what we're able to do is fix the ocean plastics and provide the medical care, the education, the lighting, the heating for these 87 countries. So for us to move to work with Oceans in Motion was a very, very natural fit. We see innovation in this space has been the key to the solution, and the Catch-22 platform has been created to allow that innovation a place to shine and be applied to real life problems. I was very fortunate recently to speak at the COP27 event, and at that event I saw some fantastic technologies that will be applied to not only treating the plastic problems that we've got, but also preventing the plastics from reaching our waterways in the first place. So I'm very excited to be here today as part of the Oceans in Motion's crew, and looking at what 2023 is going to bring us as far as action in this space and how we can identify places to start and governments to take some action as well. So I look forward to it. Thank you, Ricky.
Thanks, David. I know that you have had a cracking pace the last few weeks, and I know it's been really, really full bore, and you've just come back via, I think, United States, having been at COP27. We would be really interested to hear directly from you, some of the experiences. I know you were speaking, you had quite a few main events there yourself. I'd love to hear, and our audience and everybody, what your takeaways were from that and actions, because it's actually been very quiet since COP27 finished, what the main messages are, and it's better to get it straight from the mouth, as they say. So could you talk a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely, Ricky. I think one of the biggest problems from a perception point of view with the COP platforms is the only thing we hear about are the speeches from the politicians and so forth. And it does seem rather ineffective from the outsider's point of view. But having been on the ground actually at a COP and seeing what's happening in the background with small businesses, innovators, technology platforms, and the governments, it's actually a very, very effective way to communicate. And what I mean by that is we don't know what we don't know, and certainly governments don't know what they don't know. And COP does provide a platform for governments to directly interact with innovative platforms, with businesses that have solutions, and educate themselves quickly on how we can take action to move things forward. And my big takeaway from the COP experience was that access to government. You know, being able to communicate with them that there isn't a technological problem that we face to solving the world's problems, environmental and others right at the moment. It is sheer political will that is stopping us. And one of the easiest ways of identifying that, which is near and dear to your heart, is microplastics. It is cheaper for businesses to pay the fine to pump microplastics down the drain every single day than it is to process it. So what do they choose to do? They pump them down the drain. And we're talking cents on the dollar here, minute amounts of money per unit. But because of the scale of the problem, the businesses choose not to treat it, and they're not being punished for it. So they're things that we're able to communicate with governments, really simple legislative changes and empowering EPAs around the world to be able to stop this stuff at source, because that's ultimately where we need to stop the source and then go and treat what's already there. Because at the problem at the moment, we're adding more than we can treat. So we're never going to get in front of the 8 ball. But it was very, very enlightening being part of COP.
And did you notice like the breakup of the demographics and age groups, and like there usually is always a lot of younger youth that are there, and obviously Greta made a point about not going this year, and I just wondered actually noticing the type of people that were there this year, and if there was, because there was a lot of side shows and things, I believe, or side stage presentations. So it would be really interesting to get maybe some of the behind the scenes of what you noticed, and even conversation that you might have heard from different age groups and different nationalities in different countries. It would be really great to get that sort of a bit of the goss,
I think that was one of the great successes of COP27 is the youth engagement. It was a real focus of the event, and of the people I spoke to, they were teenagers through to 90. So there was a very good spread. One of the things I would say, unfortunately, I think from statements made by Greta and so forth, is they're missing the point that you have to be at the table to be heard. And to not be at the table and to not be putting your point across is actually the negligence in all of this. And governments, as I said before, don't know what they don't know. And unfortunately, governments change reasonably regularly. So we do have new people at the table all the time, which means we've got to be continually educating governments about these solutions and continually pushing them forward. And I do understand Greta's frustration. I do feel that every single day when I see things like microplastic legislation that isn't up to speed to allow us to effectively treat it. But you have to be there to talk to governments. You have to be there to educate them. And to the government's credits, they were there, right from Africa, right from Asia, all around the world. They were there and they were willing to listen. We had ambassadors willing to listen. We had energy ministers willing to listen. We spoke to presidents. We spoke to prime ministers directly, not through other people, but across the table. And that was the exciting part about it, to see governments going, what do we need to do? How do we fix this? Yeah. And, when we look at wastewater as a problem, that 359 billion cubic litres a year that's been pumped into our rivers and oceans, start there. Let's start at source. Let's fix this at source. And but from the youth point of view, I was really encouraged to see young innovators, young business leaders, young community leaders from every nation. They're part of it.
Yeah. Look, that's really, really heartwarming, because as you know, one of the things that we focus on at Plastic Oceans is obviously we believe that the youth have the power to make that change rapidly, hence why we know you're very keen and supportive of what we're doing through Oceans in Motion. And also, you mentioned about the voice, and we're on the Plastic Oceans Australasia is part of many organisations that is having a voice with the International Plastics Treaty. and having that voice and being there and being heard and collaborating. It's all about collaborating and communication. So it's really, really good to hear you talk about that, because there's a saying, isn't there? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, you go as a group, or something along those lines. So yeah, well, that's fantastic. And I know that you've got a little fun fact for me about yourself that nobody in the world knows, and I wanted you to share that with us today.
Thank you, Ricky. Look, the fun fact isn't actually about me. It is about our technology platform, as I'm not particularly interesting. But the fun fact about our Catch-22 technology platform is it is open source. We are fully collaborative. We will share information with anyone that has an idea, an improvement, or a way of scaling up this even quicker. So I encourage people to not feel that you can't be part of the solution. This is why we joined Oceans in Motion, because every single person, whether you're you or me or a big business, a small business, or a government, has a role to play in this solution. And we need to treat this as a global solution. So my fun fact for today is we go far as a group, as you quite rightly pointed out, and we go far through collaboration of IP, and our IP is open for collaboration. So anyone who's listening to this and would like to get involved or would like to put ideas forward, please, we're open and we'll collaborate on any level to make this a solution that works.
Thanks, David. And obviously in the chat box, we can put a link to, you might want to put a link up actually, David, about Catch-22, because the your prototype is innovative and, you know, groundbreaking, or water breaking, we should say. So it'd be wonderful for people to see that. So I'll leave it with David at the moment. Any questions you have, we'll be saving to the end. So David, we will put you back on mute and no camera, and I'll go straight ahead now to introduce our next guest, because we have a few things to get through. I'm not sure if Peter is on. Is Peter there? Can anyone tell me before I do the intro?
Yeah, unfortunately he's not here yet. He's just on a flight that looks like it's been delayed, so I don't know if we can shuffle around, and then as soon as he's on, I can, yeah.
Okay, so maybe let me know. What we'll do then is we'll leave Peter till last, and hopefully he'll be able to join us by then. I know he was flying and going to the island, so there may be some issues there. So I'll just skip through there, and we'll go. Obviously, there's a lot of people on today that are really, really keen to hear about our Oceans in Motion and what we've been doing the last 6 months with various schools and other organisations around Australia. So yes, we're going to have a bit of a drum roll, but before we do that, I am just going to recap to let people that are on today that don't know about Oceans in Motion and what the story is there. This is actually our 3rd year of Oceans in Motion, and we opened it up this year for the first time actually to the primary schools as well as the secondary schools, and we've also opened it up to a couple of other categories, being voting and university. So we won't have time to go through all of the categories and all of the entries. So we will be focusing on primary and secondary schools, because we know that a lot of the students are breaking up for the year. So we wanted to make sure that we could announce the winners and talk a little bit about the process. So what students had to do with the criteria with OIM was they needed to do something in a 5-minute video or less, and talk about the journey that their school or their campus and their team went through to actually demonstrate how they were making change at their school with what they're doing to reduce ideally single-use plastic. It might have been just one thing that they focused on. It could have been several things. Everyone obviously does things differently, and the judges had a really tough time, from what I was told, of working out who the top 3 in each of the categories were. So we did have a lot more entries this year than last year, and that was primarily because we weren't in lockdown. last year and the year before, we obviously were in lockdown in a lot of the parts of Australia. We did have entries from New Zealand in the years prior, which was, and they came in, and I think that's also because they were able to be at their schools and doing things, whereas we weren't in Australia in a lot of the states. So the entries have been getting really, really creative, very dynamic. The messages are loud and clear, and as I said, it was quite hard for the judges to give those final scores. So I know that they deliberated, and we have got some final winners, which is terrific. So without further ado, I think I'm going to be starting with primary school. So if we go to that first slide, we'll be going from third place, second place, first place, I believe. So the primary school category, the school that came in at third place for this year, for 2022, is actually a school in New South Wales, and it is the Nature School Primary School, which is in Port Macquarie. And the Nature School is, I think it's grade 6, just going into grade 7 next year. And they have done they did a really fantastic job with their presentation, and they are third place. So congratulations to the Nature School for achieving third place. In second place, we have a school actually here in Victoria, which is the Barwon Heads Primary School. They're right down on the water, and they had a huge challenge with plastic waste literally coming up on the shore at the beach right near where they were at school. So they were actually have been working with us and going through quite a few challenges that they had last year when they were doing the Plastic Oceans education program. So we were delighted that they actually put in an entry. So congratulations, second place. And of course, first place for primary school category is the Anala Primary School in Northern Territory. Anala Primary School is a community school in Darwin itself. I've actually been and visited the school this year. Amazing group of students and very, very passionate principal to really help drive change. And congratulations to the categories. And we had, as I said, other entries where there will be, I believe there's a special commendation to a couple of the other entries for the primary school category. We will be making available the films for the primary school, and all of the films will be available actually on a link at the end, which we've done each year with all of our Ocean in Motion film categories. So those will come through for people to see, and you can see what they've done. Now, the first place for Anala Primary School is the amazing prize, which is the one where it's like a mini Survivor, like the film series Survivor, where the students will actually get to go to a mystery location in New South Wales, I believe it's going to be, with a group of them going for a few days out in the wild and having to live without plastic and many, many other things. So we're going to be really interested this time next year to show you probably some footage that we'll get of them on their journey, which will be really, really great to see. So that'll be a fantastic experience for some of the team from the Northern Territory at the Anala Primary School. And second place, Barwon Heads Primary School is wonderful playground equipment that they'll be getting or choosing whatever they want at their primary school through Compan. So there's some really great prizes up for grabs that these are really worthy recipients of. We'll now go on to the secondary school category. So under secondary school, we had, because the secondary school category has been open for now, this is our third year, we actually had quite a few people, quite a few entries in this. It was the highest entry number in secondary category. So again, I know it was quite the challenge for the judges to work out who was going to be first, second and third, and I'm going to start with obviously going with third category first. So third place is the John Monash Science School, which is here in Melbourne, Clayton. John Monash Science School is a STEM school that goes from year 10 to 12, and they're actually they were the first school to sign up with Plastic Oceans Australasia in actually doing the schools program. So we're delighted it's the first time that they've placed. So congratulations to John Monash. Second place is a school that's also in Victoria, and they have done many awards for their incredible sustainability work, which is the Brentwood Secondary College. So congratulations to them. They are actually not that far as the crow flies from John Monash Science School. So congratulations to Brentwood and all the wonderful things that they've been doing. And last but not least, I'm delighted to announce that the winner for the secondary school category this year is Canberra Secondary College. So congratulations to the 3 schools. We had, I believe, 3 or 4 entries from one particular school as well. That was a school in New South Wales, which was terrific to see, that you can have a number of different groups of kids actually putting in separate entries. So it was wonderful that they were very keen to do that. And as I said, we have got some special commendations to those schools. So what we did do is we actually reached out to Canberra Secondary College to let them know that they had taken out the first place prize, winning the winning entry. And what we're going to do is we've actually asked them to come on and have a chat with us about their journey and talk to us about it. But before we do that, we've actually we put together a little sneak preview for you on their winning entry, and I believe that we're going to show just a very short snippet of that now. So over to you, Meg. Can anybody hear the volume, or is it just me? No?
No, I can't hear anything either.
Yeah, so what we'll do maybe, Meg, is we'll let you get the sound on, and we'll carry on. I'll hand over to Canberra. I'll keep going, and what we'll do is by the time they've finished, hopefully you'll have the sound sorted. So moving to introduce the Canberra Secondary School, it's my great pleasure to introduce the driving teacher at the school, Ben Crosman. So Ben is a very dynamic English teacher. He's been at Canberra Secondary College for 7 years. I actually have visited the school a couple of times, and I was there this year, earlier in the year, I think. No, I think I was there in August. To meet the kids and see what they were doing. Ben runs the LEAD program at the school with one of the other teachers, and the purpose of the LEAD program is to actually build student leadership skills through the school's student action teams. And one of those areas is they have a green team, and the green team is where the OIM team, POA OIM film was created through that green team. And I know, Ben, that you will share with us the journey and how that all came about. So I'll hand over to you now, Ben, and let you chat to that, and then go on the journey. Hi, Ben.
Hi, can you see us okay?
Yep, we can see you.
Excellent.
So maybe you'd like to, so over to you to talk a little bit about the journey and the project and all the things that happened there, and some fun things and some challenging things. Over to you.
Yeah, you gave us a great introduction. We joined Plastic Oceans Australia back in 2020. We had a few hiccups through COVID, getting the program really going, but we've made it, part of our curriculum for science and geography. So some of the resources that Plastic Oceans have put together are really valuable for us in terms of actually day-to-day teaching about the environment, and really puts a lot of what we teach in those subjects into perspective, and helps students feel connected to, the environment around them. The Green Team works tirelessly at Canberra High School to try and make sure that we're sort of at the cutting edge of doing things with the environment and being sustainable as a school. So we try not to look out just for plastics, but also for energy use and our biodiversity in the school. So the kids are really busy and dynamic in creating initiatives and doing things like Clean Up Australia Day as well. Yeah, I've got Grace and Maddie with me. They're leaders of the team. They're just leaving the school actually in year 10. So we're a high school in the ACT and we go from 7 to 10. So these girls are off to college next year in year 11. They're both going to a different school. They were joking yesterday about competing green teams and who's going to win the Plastic Oceans competition next year from their new schools. So I think it's great to see the program sort of, you know, sowing a seed that's going to grow when members of the green team leave here and go to their other schools. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I know that I was with the team a few months ago and I was there for a special occasion, obviously in Canberra, and it'd be wonderful to hear from you both, Maddie and Grace, about the journey and challenges, like I said before, and, you know, any fun facts about what, you know, the best part about it. It certainly was a very creative entry, and it'd be good for people to know, you know, what made it hard, what made it easy, and also it'd be lovely to hear from you about, now that you're passing the baton on because you're going to a new school, you know, how are you doing that and how are you encouraging others? So there's lots of questions there, so over to you.
Well, we had lots of things that kind of motivated us to want to participate in this. We already had a, you know, connection with Plastic Oceans Australasia, and we you know, meeting the, you know, Governor General and going and seeing, you know, this is kind of what can come of this was a really good thing. We wanted to kind of drive to be a better school, like have a kind of project that the whole green team could really get involved in, something that, you know, we could all chip in and participate in. Watching videos of previous winners, we kind of got ideas about, you know, what worked and maybe what didn't work, and stuff we could use and improve upon. And
yeah, like I'd say making the video really helped us reflect on what we've done, what programs we've implemented into the school, and also how much there is left to go. And I think that's like the most strongest part that we can pass on to the next generation of the green team. We can like aid them in education about like what there is left to do, and we can create good habits for them so they can continue to teach the younger generations and also create new projects of their own.
We were also kind of planning on using the video we made as kind of an educational video for year 7s when they first come into the school, kind of showing them how waste management works at Canberra High School, and giving them a bit of like kind of an understanding of this is how it works. Yeah, some funny things that happen in the video. We have a ball of rubbish that we're passing between each shot, and we were kind of, you know, hurriedly filming it over kind of a week period.
Yeah.
And we had to keep it in different classrooms. So we'd be able to get out of class to film our video and have to go into classrooms and be like, "Can you grab our bag of rubbish?" Yeah. So that was
it was a really enjoyable experience.
It was.
Yeah.
And do you think that is there a particular area in the in what you were noticing when you were looking at the whole, you know, the waste, or we call it as a resource now rather than a waste, you know, one person's trash is another person's treasure. Was there something there that you found that was really challenging, that you felt that you kind of maybe needed more help, not necessarily from Mr. Crossman, but maybe other areas in the school, maybe with school council or school committees or in the maintenance? Or were there things there that you found, or you needed more funding, or were there things that you felt that, gee, we would have really liked to have done that, but we just couldn't get to it because of things out of your control, I guess I'm trying to say, or ask? Was that something that you would be able to maybe talk to and suggest how students coming up in the years to follow might be able to get around that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we found the hardest group to get on board with our new bin system was actually the older students, just because they previously had like waste habits that didn't match the new system. So the hardest part was educating them on changing their behavior. We found like the younger kids really took on board this project, and we feel like that we're leaving in good hands, leaving the younger students, because they can then create those good habits.
Great. And how many were in the team? Was it about 8, was it?
Yeah,
I think it's roughly 10 students.
yeah.
10 students, yeah.
Worked on the video.
We had a few extras that got caught up in the filming of it and wanted to be in it,
Yeah.
which is excellent.
Yeah, no, that's really fantastic. It's really interesting to hear that. And do you find that the ACT bans that have been the mandatory bans that were brought in have been helping as well to really raise awareness and drive change, because there's that mandatory element that's been put into the whole state, and in many states we've got different bans obviously happening. Did that help as well, or did you find that was a bit of a, oh, we're being told what to do, we've got to do it anyway?
Definitely. I think the ACT ban, I think, has been in place longer than the other states, so it is kind of an ingrained thing. I think students kind of already had in that mindset of not having single-use items. So yeah, that I think
especially in our canteen, we don't have any plastic just because the new it's been put in place, so there's no plastic in the canteen, and I feel like that's really like helped educate people like what else to bring to school, as because when you see it at the school canteen, you kind of have an idea that you don't bring that stuff to school as well.
Yeah, you can package your sandwich in a paper bag rather than having it in cling film. So it's been a great model, and I think the canteen actually leads a lot of students into knowing how they can deal with their own food. Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe that when we were in Canberra, you joined us at a very special event, and you heard and saw what's happening in government. Do you want to talk to that at all and share any insights that you got from being at that event?
I think it was just really exciting to be in that kind of environment with like change makers and people who are really pushing to change legislation. I think also hearing about all the work that Plastic Oceans has done and the advocacy work and the education work that they continue to do was really exciting. Yeah.
Would you like to share with people where you were?
Oh, it was at Government House. Yeah, it was hosted by the Governor General, who I believe is a patron of Plastic Oceans or a supporter.
Yeah, they were supporting us for our 5th anniversary. So the Governor General, Mrs. Hurley, were very welcoming to help us celebrate our 5th anniversary, which was great. But it was really good for us to find out what they're doing at Government House behind the scenes as well, which we weren't aware of at the time. So absolutely, no, it was really good. So I'll just check in and see with our IT guru whether we can try showing the little snippet of the film, and if not, we'll just have to leave that till all the films are put together that you'll see at the end. So Meg, do you want to give it another go?
Whoa, what is this? A piece of plastic? Not on our watch. Here at Canberra High School, our green team is eliminating plastic waste one step at a time.
According to the National Geographic, 40% of all plastic produced worldwide is packaging, which is used only once and ends up in landfills or our waterways. At Canberra High School, our canteen has stopped selling single-use plastic items such as cutlery, containers and bags since last year.
The Green Team hosted a cleanup day for the school. This ended up being a massive success as we had a massive turnout from all the years. This was really good as it brought the school together as well as helped the school see the environmental footprint it leads.
Education is really important when reducing our plastic waste. That's why Green Team events are so important, because it gives us an opportunity to educate students in a hands-on way.
Green Team on 3. 1, 2, 3, Green Team!
Thank you so much. We will, I'm just going to check and see if our third speaker is here, and if not, we will open up and go over to a Q&A. No, it looks like our third speaker, Peter Gash from Lady Elliot Island, has not been able to join us. So thank you so much to Maddie. Thank you so much to Grace and to Ben for representing and coming on board at short notice, because they only found out that they were winners a couple of days ago, and it is the end of school time. So thank you very much for coming on. Do we have any questions in the chat box? Paddy, back to you if anyone has any questions, or if anybody would like to ask a question now, we can go over to question time.
Hello, everyone. I'm back. We don't have any questions yet. Oh, I'm seeing something there. Nothing. But if you want to send me some questions, I'm happy to respond here. I think we can move on now to discuss ocean literacy. Ricky, if that's okay. I don't think Peter has made it. I think his flight was delayed. But yeah, I'll get back to you if he's in.
Okay, thank you so much, Paddy. Yeah, it's a very busy time of the year and it's quite difficult, obviously, when you're flying from the island, and Peter's story is quite engaging and very inspirational, what he's done with setting up an ecotourism resort at Lady Elliot Island, and we'll certainly be happy to send you details about what they're doing there. And they've also put forward a really fabulous prize for recipients to take up. So just going back to ocean literacy, and I'll go into wrap up of what we're going to be doing next year as well. So over the years, Plastic Oceans Australasia, like I mentioned earlier, one of our key focuses is obviously in education, not just for youth, but also for businesses, government entities, and we really have expanded on that. And with UNESCO's recognition of the next decade till 2030, really focusing on the ocean and what's happening in the ocean. There are 7 principles in the literacy principles, and the one that we focus on today is obviously number 6, which is probably in a lot of ways one of the most important ones for us and what we're doing with education, which is about the connectedness between people and the ocean itself. So we're going to be next year expanding our programs that we're delivering to include a lot more in the space of ocean and the marine world, which we think will be highly sought after by students and businesses and people in government and wherever, really, any industry type, to bring that in and show that we really are trying to stop at the source, like David Coleman was saying earlier on. It's stopping it at the source rather than having to deal with the waste when it actually gets into the ocean, and the toxins and all the other things that come from plastic that leach out into the land, then go into the ocean, etc. We're working on a couple of new projects with looking at sea kelp to demonstrate case studies that will look at how the regeneration of sea kelp planting and permaculture really helps the ocean. We'll be offering that to students to look at and learn about. We've got a mascot competition at the moment with for a sea dragon competition, drawing competition, which is through EcoForce and the sea kelp program and initiative that we've just launched a couple of weeks ago. But next year we will be expanding, as I said, in various areas. We will have our next webinar, which will be taking the next principle of ocean literacy. That will be in March of next year, so watch this space. And at that time we will be also announcing our guardians of the ocean. So this new series is not just about a name. We're actually inviting people in the world to come on board and be guardians of our ocean, and each one of those will have their own stories and be really interesting for you to hear and talk to. So I can't announce them yet, I have to wait till March, but watch this space for that. We also will have annual report, which is available, and that'll be sent out also at the end of what we're doing today, at the end of the webinar, with the link, and also obviously the movie link, which you're all going to be busting to watch now, I see, because we will get that all out to everybody. And I think that's probably everything. Obviously, we want to wish everybody, a fantastic end of the year. We wish you safe festivities and stay well, because COVID is out there again and really, really rampant. So we hope everyone's going to be safe and well. And also to thank everybody that's been a supporter with us, and to thank all of our sponsors and our donors and our partners, because without them we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing today. So in particular, big thanks to Zapata's with their support for the Oceans in Motion film competition. Next year will be bigger and better and larger as we keep growing and developing this area with our film competition. If any of you have any ideas or suggestions or things you'd like to share with us about how we can make it better, how we can do it differently, or anything that you'd like, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear people's comments and feedback on what you think. So I think I've pretty much covered everything off, and I know that we're actually finishing ahead of time because we were expecting another speaker, and we thought you would have a few questions, but I don't know if anybody still would like to put their hand up and ask a question. If not, I'll hand back to Patricia and let you close, Paddy.
Hi everyone. I'm so happy that we got this out. It's so exciting, and I can't wait for you to see what we have planned for next year. Thank you all for coming. And we're looking forward for the next one. Apologies in the name of Peter. I haven't been able to reach out to him, but I'm sure his flight has been delayed, and unfortunately he couldn't make it. But we'll make sure we put out something like Ricky said. So thank you everyone for showing up. Looking forward for the next one.
And congratulations to all the winners.